Happy Thursday! I'm the prop queen, Ariel Epstein. Sorry that I have to do an earlier show today. I know that you guys get in a routine, so do I. It was really hard to get on air this early, hence why my hair is back in a clip. Marley and I went on a long walk. Hopefully she's quiet most of the show. Even though we're doing a show earlier today, I am able to get some great guests on the show. Mid-Major Matt and I going to go through this very short MLB slate today, pretty much through every game of every lean that we have MLB player prop wise. Then Steve Merril from Wager Talk going to join us as well. We'll definitely preview the next NBA Finals game. We'll talk some Major League Baseball. You guys know I love my Major League Baseball. First, it is a huge day for the Epstein family, which is why I have to come on this show earlier today. I am taking my little pup to go meet my whole family this weekend. And I'm going to my parents' house, but I have to go today because my brother is going to prom. And it's crazy to think that my brother is 13 years younger than me. My parents decided to have a third later on in life, and they got him. So it's interesting when you have a little brother. This is my prom. Like, how freaking cute. He was only 4 years old, and now he's a big boy. So I will be sending pictures on social media later on. But like, what a munchkin. I'm super pumped. But I'm super pumped to get this show underway because I know that we need some winners. And we have a lot of afternoon baseball today. Just looking at the afternoon baseball slate, I think we have, like 3 or 4 games this afternoon? 1, 2, 3 games this afternoon, then 5 games tonight. First, I'll start out with yesterday, where the Prop Queen newsletter was right and wrong. Where the Prop Queen newsletter was right, Brian Wu went under 4.5 strikeouts with 3 in 6 innings against the D-backs. That was an afternoon game. NBA props ended up going 3-1 last night. Alex Caruso, he goes under 9.5 points with 8 against the Pacers. Pacers point guard Tyrese Halliburton, he went over his 17.5 points prop with 22. SGA went under his 34.5 points prop with 24 points. Again, this was a trend with SGA that he has not done well in game threes. He has not done well in the first game on the road. And this number of 33.5, 34.5 for a player that has different home road splits, averaging a little bit more points per game at home than he does on the road, I think that number was too high. And it clearly was by 10 points. Halliburton, again, he also has very different home road splits. He averages about 4 more points per game when he's on the road, when he's at home as opposed to on the road. And someone like Alex Caruso, I'm like, he's an inconsistent player. He hasn't played well on the road the entire postseason. His prop was 9.5, despite him going well over that in the first 2 games of the series. Regression is real, and that's what happened to Alex Caruso tonight. It also happened to my strikeout props yesterday because Walker Buehler, as I suspected, went over his 4.5K prop. He had 7 against the Rays. I say I suspected it because the number tells you to take the under because the Rays have not been striking out much. However, I do not like betting for the same result to happen 2 starts in a row. So if, for example, Walker Buehler went over his strikeout prop against the Rays, I would have said, oh, so great opportunity now to take the under because it typically goes 1-1. But because he went under in the first game, I gave it out anyway because I'm like, all right, like it's good for you to know that like statistically the Rays don't strike out a lot, but second start. And same thing for Clark Schmidt. He ends up not going under his 4.5K prop. He had 7 against the Royals. The Royals, I just can't get them right. I cannot get this team right. They strike out more against lefties than righties. And I've just, whatever. I'm 0-2 betting Yankees props against the Royals in this series. It sucks. It also sucks that Miles Turner is in the graveyard. Dead to me. Dead. No more Miles Turner props. We are done with him. Those rebound props are absolutely atrocious. He went under 5.5 Ks. He ended up with just like 2 or 3 rebounds. 2 rebounds yesterday. Like, dude, you're the center. Like, how are you the center of a team in the NBA Finals and you get 2 rebounds? It's beyond me. Beyond. Like, I will never understand this. Anyway, today's probably going to be a little bit of a shorter day. Very small slate of games. I know we've got the Stanley Cup playoffs We do have golf underway. I know the U.S. Open started. I could take a look at that. Our first baseball game of the day starts at 1:10 p.m. Eastern time. It's Nats at Mets. And I'm definitely going to talk about that game with Mid-Major Matt because I have a feel for a strikeout prop. But we did the U.S. Open. Let's see. I know Pam Maldonado came on and gave out a bunch of her plays yesterday. So for anyone that is curious, I do still have Pam's plays up, so I'll post them here. For anyone who is curious about what Pam spoke about yesterday for the U.S. Open, here's what we spoke about. So Morikawa, top 20 finish, plus 110. Corey Connors at top 20 finish, plus 150. Keegan Bradley, top 20 finish at plus 260. And Scotty Scheffler, top 10, round 1, plus 150. Scotty Scheffler, top 5 at minus 140. So taking a look now at the live odds on FanDuel. I have so many tabs up right now. Oh, I already did have FanDuel up. I knew that. FanDuel for the U.S. Open currently has Scotty at plus 280 to win the Open. Top X finish. Round specials. Oh, this is so there's so many markets. Anyway, so many markets. But if you did need anything else for today in the U.S. Open, then you can take a look here at Pam, and I'm sure she'll be posting throughout the day. I don't really do much. My sister is blowing up my phone right now. Absolutely blowing up my phone. It's Father's Day this weekend, so we're trying to figure out what to get Dad. It's also my sister's birthday. So just so many things going on in my household. I feel like my makeup is okay. Anyway, Mid-Major Matt is going to join us in just a minute. We are going to talk all things Major League Baseball today, going down this slate of very short games. My eyes are bothering me. This isn't good. And I'm probably just messing with it. Marley's being so quiet, though. It's so quiet in the chat today. I know there's a bunch of people watching, but so quiet in the chat. I'm telling you, people ask me all the time, why do you not want to do an earlier show? Like, because people are working and they're busy. I'm going to bring on Mid-Major Matt so we could talk about some things because all I really have to talk about today is Major League Baseball. And I'm trying to hold off on talking about it until Matt comes on. So here is Mid-Major Matt. What's up?
What's up?
You know, slow slate of games coming on the show earlier. I feel very unprepared because I don't know. I don't like doing an early show. I'm a night person.
Look, there's a lot of afternoon games today. It's a shame it's an 8-game card that doesn't have a lot to take a look at.
Yeah, like we were saying, a lot of leans today, but not a lot of love. And I'll show you first, I'm really curious because you texted me yesterday. You have to sit up a little because your headroom is killing me.
Okay.
Like my TV instincts are like, I can't deal with the headroom. Okay. So you texted me yesterday. You said, oh my gosh, I have this live prop trend that's been hitting at like 85%. And you won't tell me what the hell it is. You're like, we'll save it for the show. Okay, well, here's the show. I've been waiting for 24 hours for this thing. What is it?
So I just started to realize about live betting during the games in terms of like at-bats and stuff like that. And so I've been watching the Phillies enough this year to know that Alec Boehm never likes having long at-bats. And I actually looked on baseballreference.com. He is in the bottom 15 or I guess the top 15 in the fewest pitches seen per at-bat. Well, DraftKings has a market where you can bet on the number of pitches per at bat, and it's been 3.5. And the last 3 days, it's 11-2 to the under. Now, the juices have been varying. You know, there's been some minus 110s, minus 115s. I think one of them I had yesterday was minus 130 or minus 135. But like, as long as DraftKings, and I believe FanDuel actually has this as well, but they just don't put it up as far in advance. If you keep taking the under on pitches seen by Alec Boehm, you're going to be profitable. Now, the problem will be is if I tell everybody to do this and on Friday he has some long at-bats and starts losing. I'm just saying the last 3 days, he went 5 for 5. What is it? Today's Thursday. On Tuesday, Monday he went 5 for 5 in terms of the under. Tuesday, he went 2-2 to the under. And then yesterday, he went 4 for 4 to the under. So it's a prop to look at for the future. If you're ever watching a Phillies game, take under 3.5 pitches per at bat for Alec Boehm.
That is so interesting. I didn't even know that market existed, probably because it doesn't in New York.
I think it's also on FanDuel. I don't know if I think it's on. I saw something that's closely resembling that in FanDuel. They just don't put it up. Like DraftKings will put up the first 4 hitters, I believe, and then the first 3 hitters for the other team before their half inning starts. So like there's a lot more in advance. I think FanDuel only puts it up like a batter or 2 before they're up. But like it's just something I kind of recently discovered, and the last 3 days it's been incredible. He averages like 3.48 pitches per at bat so far this season, and he's hot too, which means he's going to keep going for early pitches. So under 3.5 has been really profitable the last 3 days. Don't blame me if it doesn't going forward, though.
I love it. I love that kind of live prop trend. I'm going to go through. Nope, that's not my plays for today. That's Pam's golf card. I just snapshotted these. Let me see. Yes. This is my longer card for today's slate, so we could walk through these. I think I have at least the first game in here, but we're going to go game by game, and we could talk about it because we've got 3-day games. I only liked action in 1. I'm starting to like Kodai Senga under 5.5K is a lot, Matt. I know that Senga has gone under this number in 3 or 4 games when he's faced the low K rate team against righties. And the Nats really don't strike out a lot. 30 unders, 18 overs, averaging just over 4 strikeouts a game. 7 of the last 10 righties to face the Nats have gone under their K prop. And to top it all off, the line moved 20 cents against the Mets overnight, despite 80% of action plus coming in on New York.
So I'm looking at their lineup because it's out to see if we have any sort of situations where somebody's playing. I mean, the center fielder, Hassel, I'm sorry if I butcher his name, Hassel or Hassel. I mean, he could be a little bit of a problem. 18 strikeouts and 63 at bats. I'm guessing he's not the regular starter. Lowe and Wood are high K rate kind of guys. They're usually in the lineup anyway. I feel like Alex Call always strikes out when I take the under involving the Nationals. He's in the lineup as well. But I don't hate it. It's just, the Nats are one of these teams that it feels like is all over the place. The 4 against Canning's great, but then the 8 against DeGrom and 6 against Corbin Burns and 6 against Merril Kelly, and then a bunch of 4s in Seattle. So I think you're right. I would lean that certain direction, but Senga's kind of tough to trust at times.
Yeah, he's been awesome. And right now preseason, I went on the Ringer podcast with John Yastrzemski. They asked me to give out a play I think they asked me to give out a future for the Mets. And I said, Kodai Senga comeback player of the year, because something tells me that there might be a National League pitcher that could be more enticing to give to like a Cy Young to. They don't love giving things to Kodai Senga unless literally he's leading the league in ERA and strikeouts. But I feel comeback player of the year at I think it was 8-1 looks pretty good.
Yeah, see, awards like that, we can't bet on that in Virginia, so that's a lot of fun. But yeah, it makes it.
But I could still analyze it by looking at the book, and then I could go to New Jersey.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Drive across the border. I don't know if Washington, D.C. has it, so I would have to drive, and that's a far drive for me anyway. But it's not a bad bet. I mean, Senga is certainly doing well. The question is, will he last? I mean, his numbers are great, but if he gets hurt in July or August, or he kind of wears down a little bit, because remember, he got hurt last year, right? He was injured last year.
He was coming off the season-ending injury, came back, and then it wasn't even an injury that was related to his injury. He pulled a hammy or something, and they just decided to not play.
Yeah. So my worry with him is just, what's he going to be like in August? Is he going to still have the same stamina? Are the Mets are still going to be good? It's funny because on my radio show, I have a Mets fan who calls up because I still think the Braves are the most talented team in this division. I still won't give up on the Braves winning this division.
The Braves could be like the Astros, where they second half push.
Well, and remember the Mets last year. After London, they were awesome, but entering London against the Phillies, the Mets were terrible, and then they woke up in the second half. So I still think the Braves could be that. I think the Braves rotation's awesome, and I think their lineup is really good too. So I actually have a future on the Braves winning this division that I purchased when they were down. I don't think that's dead yet, but my question for the Mets is, can this rotation be this good in August? I know that, maybe Manaea comes back, and I believe there's another guy who they're missing, whoever that is. Can this rotation be this good in July and August? And I don't know.
Yeah, I have trust issues with the Mets. I have trust issues with the Yankees rotation too. These are players that are overachieving right now, and we'll see if it could stay true to form come the end of the year. But for this particular game with the Nats and the Mets, is there anything else that stood out to you?
So Soroka was interesting. Soroka's taken advantage of these high. He's had these random outlier games where he's just had a lot of strikeouts. He had 7 against the Rangers, although everybody's got 7 against the Rangers lately, and he had 8 against the Orioles. And pretty much everybody gets 8 on the Orioles. It feels like. So Soroka was kind of interesting, but like he's not as good on the road. It's just one of those games where I kind of looked at and I'm like, I'll be mad if I pass on something, but like both teams have pretty much their starting lineups in there, so it was kind of an easy pass for me. Plus, it's an early game, wind is blowing out, so we could see a bunch of runs in this game, meaning maybe neither pitcher lasts very long. So that was kind of my thought on this one.
The next game is Rangers Twins. Twins minus 160 or so favorites at home against the Rangers. It's Patrick Corbin Day in Minnesota, but the Twins do strike out more against lefties, averaging just over 6 strikeouts a game. Anything here?
Not really. The only thing that I would kind of look at is 2 hitters. Marcus Semien, 7 for 13 with 2 homers against Ober. And then Byron Buxton, I know this is a small sample size, but 2 for 6 with 2 homers against Patrick Corbin. The Corbin number's down to 3.5 in a lot of places, but heavily juiced to the over. I mean, I'd almost consider if the juice kept coming down, looking at over 3.5, but the juice would still have to come down quite a bit for that to happen. But like, yeah, this was an easy pass for me. Ober's not striking out a lot of guys lately. The Rangers strike out against everybody. So we'll see how many strikeouts Ober has. Plus, weather could be an issue mid-game. So neither of these starting pitchers could go very deep. So that was another reason why I kind of held off on this one.
The last day game is Giants and Rockies. You've got Hayden Birdsong, who you've weirdly had a love for this year, and Antonio Senzatella at home in Colorado. 3:10 p.m. Eastern time start. Did you see anything in this start?
Yeah, Birdsong was interesting. He had a great game in Coors last year. He actually faced the Rockies.
New Palante.
Yeah. I mean, well, look, he's really good, and we're getting good numbers on him. And granted, I needed, a miracle to get the last one because I had over 4.5 against the Braves, and he had 5. But like, it's the Coors Field thing. I'm always scared of it. Ray went under. We have our numbers that talk about, how over-unders do in Coors Field, and it's not as good as you would think. There are 18 overs to 15 unders in Coors Field, and 10 and 10 versus right-handed starting pitchers. So, that's why I kind of held off on Birdsong. And then Senzatella with his usual 2.5 is always pretty crazy. And people always ask me, they're like, well, what do you think about, a 2.5? And I'm like, well, if you get a bad umpire who gives a strikeout or 2 that he shouldn't give, and then the guy gets 1 normal one, then you lose because you have the, under 2.5 and there's 3 strikeouts. So there's no margin for error here. So I kind of passed everything on this game, but I really do wish if the Birdsong was 4.5, I would have gone over, but it's 5.5. And so I can't do that.
Jessica, which game did you like overall or over for the game overall to that point? Was it the Rangers Twins game or was it the Giants Rockies game? I just wanted clarification because we started talking about both. Twins game. So Jessica likes the over in that game. Night slate. So this is one of the ones that I was looking at, Matt. Tarek Skubal. Here's what's crazy. So I wrote this in the PropQueen.com newsletter this morning. Skubal was over minus 110 last night, under minus 120. That freaks me out because I'm like, how the hell is Skubal juiced to the under when he's gone over in 8 of 10, 4 of 5 on the road against teams with high carries against lefties? The Orioles, 13 overs, 4 unders against lefties this year. Gore had 9 and 8. Rodon had 7. Skubal 11. Abbott 11. And then all of a sudden I wake up this morning and Tarek Skubal's now over minus 150 or more. But I like Skubal over 7.5 seems like a good number, even on the road against Baltimore.
Yeah. It's funny because I'm looking at DraftKings now, it's 8.5. And so, plus 115. There's a bunch of different ways you can kind of take advantage of this. I know on ESPN Bet, they have a bet where you can bet on which starting pitcher has the most strikeouts. I mean, I can't imagine there's anybody here other than Mizurowski, who could have a humongous game because he throws really fast and has some nasty stuff. But like, if you really wanted to take advantage of Skubal, but you didn't want to swallow the juice or you didn't want to, take the over 8.5, I don't know what the number is on ESPN Bet, but you could take him to have the most strikeouts in the day and potentially get a decent price on it. I mean, it's the Orioles. It's like Orioles against lefties. They're terrible against lefties. I don't know if there's a number they can set this thing high enough for Scooble, especially in a matchup like this. Baltimore's averaging 6.57 strikeouts per game against left-handed starting pitchers. So it's like, everything says take him, but, it's now 8.5 instead of 7.5.
Yeah, it's crazy. I just can't believe I could have jumped on that last night and I chickened out. I'm pissed.
By the way, on the other side, it's no longer Dean Kremer. It's Keegan Aiken. His number's 1.5. And the interesting thing for Keegan Aiken is he doesn't have too many outings where he's gone that deep. The Tigers do strike out a lot against lefties, or at least a little bit more than they do against righties. I probably would have considered the over here, but Aiken just doesn't look like a guy. He may go us into the second inning, but it's going to be pretty close. You're going to need strikeouts in that first inning, and I don't know if I want to trust that.
Do you like anything else in Tigers Orioles?
I mean, the other thing that's kind of interesting always with Scooble is outs. And I'm looking at his outs here. It's 18.5. It was plus money to the over on the 18.5, and now it's minus 110, at least on one book that I'm looking at here. So, I mean, if you think Scooble's going to do really well, I don't hate the 18.5 over. He's a guy that certainly has proven he can go more than 6 innings. He went 7 in Kansas City. He went 6 in LA against the Angels. He went 7 in Milwaukee. So he can go over that. It's just so funny when we see these books with regards to the outs props. You either do 17.5 over and juice it to the heavens, or you do 18.5 and just realize that people probably won't be as interested because a lot of these pitchers nowadays just go 6 innings.
We've got Yankees Royals at 7:40 p.m. Eastern time. I am done with this series. Screw the Royals. I have gotten both strikeout props wrong on the Yankees end because I had Max Fried over 4.5 and he went under. And then last night I took Clark Schmidt under 4.5 and he went over. So screw the Royals. I am not touching this game. Did you see anything?
Yeah, so Warren's got great stuff. He's the type of guy I feel like who could be really successful, but as you said, this series has been really weird in terms of that sort of thing. And the Royals, who are still a high contact team right now, they're at 3.875 strikeouts per game against right-handed starting pitchers. But Warren's the type of guy who's got really good stuff. The problem is Warren's also the type of guy to walk 5 guys and only last 3 or 4 innings. So I really didn't want to get involved with him. Seth Lugo is a guy that, may not get a lot of strikeouts, but may go long. Problem with the Yankees is the Yankees could beat him up, and then he goes only 4 innings, and you lose the outs over there.
The Yankees have some bad numbers against Seth Lugo.
Paul Goldschmidt doesn't. He's 8 for 14 with 2 homers. So, if you want to get involved in some sort of Paul Goldschmidt stats here, that's certainly something to do.
But I saw Aaron Judge, Anthony Volpe. I have it here, and Jazz Chisholm. They all have bad numbers against Seth Lugo.
I mean, listen, it's tough because Lugo is the type of guy who I think can go 6 innings in this game. But it's just, it's one of those things where I'm scared of going against the Yankees lineup in this situation. Maybe if it was I don't know. It's tough because Seth Lugo.
It's hard to fade Judge. You can't really fade him, but he does have bad numbers against Lugo.
Yeah, but that's also previous year Judge. Judge early on in his career. Lugo's crafty. Lugo's the type of guy. I think he's got 5 or 6 pitches. So it's a scary matchup today in each direction. I would lean Warren over on strikeouts, but I could also see him having an over on walks with 10 of them today if he's in one of those bad grooves.
I just got an alert to interrupt our Major League Baseball conversation. The Patriots will unveil their Tom Brady statue on August 8th prior to their preseason game against the Commanders.
Okay.
No comment?
I mean, listen, they got to match them. I mean, the Eagles have the Philly special statue, so they got to unveil a statue. I don't know. Why is it taking this long to get a statue for Tom Brady? He's been gone for a couple of years now. You thought he would have done that earlier.
I guess they had to make sure it was as perfect as his face. Those statues can make you look real ugly.
Well,
Can't
yeah,
have Brady looking ugly.
Between that and the and bad bobbleheads, there's been plenty of bad bobbleheads out there.
Jessica Brand said Lugo has 10 different pitches he's thrown this year. That's pretty nuts. 10 pitches. Damn. Okay, next game. Cardinals, Brewers. See, I know that I'm a little crazy because I normally only like to bet games that I have a sample size of. I know Mizorowski has been really good in the minors. He's had just over a 2 ERA in AAA. However, it is his first major league start, making his MLB debut, number 4 prospect for the Brewers. But righties, 24 unders, 18 overs, averaging just over 4 strikeouts a game against St. Louis, a low K rate team, Matt. And I would think for against a low K rate team like the Cards, it would be pretty impressive for Mizrowski to go over his strikeout prop.
Yeah, but he's got great stuff, and they haven't seen him. And so this could be one of those things where first time through the order, he gets 3 or 4 strikeouts, and then, only needs one more the second time through the order. That's my worry here is he's got really good stuff. He's actually had a control issue, and I was just looking. His walks is 1.5. The problem is the Cardinals are in the bottom half of the league when it comes to walks against right-handed starting pitchers. This is a tough one. And it's funny because, as you said, like, you're the one, I'm always the guy who's like, I like the over on this guy from AAA. And you're like, well, I can't do that. Now you're the one who's telling me that you like the under here for somebody that we haven't seen
Tigers can't
before.
be choosers in short slates.
I know. And that's the thing. I mean, you can't do a show and say, well, I've got no plays here because, we give
everything in me wanted to cancel this show today, but I stuck to it.
Well, see, here's the thing, and I know that you have a lot of loyal fans here. I think the most important part of shows like this is the information we give. And I think sometimes the best thing to say is skip today and move on to tomorrow when you're going to have a full slate and you're probably going to have a bunch of things you want to play.
Jessica, you're saying you like him under on his hits allowed for Mizrowski, I assume? Yeah, Mizrowski under makes sense for K's too. I think this is a short outing. I kind of like it.
I mean, that's fine. I can see it. I mean, the Cardinals are a team that have
doing well and then gets into a little jam in like the 4th or 5th and he's at like 4 strikeouts. Pull him so that he stays confident.
I mean, look,
and apparently Aaron Savale wants to be traded, which is why he didn't start today.
Oh, well, I mean, listen, if Aaron Savale makes a trade demand, we have to listen to it because he's so good. I mean, let's be honest here. And then on the other side, like Sonny Gray is interesting too. I mean, Sonny Gray is kind of, he's got these outings where everything's clicking and he gets like 8 or 9 strikeouts. And then there's other outings where like things are a little off. He's got 2 or 3 strikeouts. Holmes and Schwellenbach just had 9 against Milwaukee, but that was after a stretch where a bunch of guys had 2 and 4 strikeouts against them. So Milwaukee's all over the place. So passing on Sonny Gray was an easy thing to decide for this one.
Then I have the biggest nail biter of them all, the one that I deem myself the most insane. But the Pirates lefty, Andrew Heaney, is getting the start 8:05 p.m. at the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs, 7 straight pitchers have gone over their strikeout. 7 straight pitchers have gone over 3.5 strikeouts against the Cubs. Heaney had 0 against them in his first start of the year, which, I see something happen the first time around, and now this trend of the Cubs having more strikeouts recently, maybe it's a buy low spot on Heaney, the lefty.
I don't know. I've never been a Heaney guy. Heaney's like consistently a 3.5 guy, and he's got decent stuff, but like for some reason it doesn't necessarily translate to strikeouts. And I see it. I mean, I'm looking at the numbers here, but like the people for the most part who have gone over this, I mean, our guy Lodolo, who we both dislike, Abbott, Mackenzie Gore, Skubal, and Luzardo, like those are legitimate lefties in terms of strikeouts. Heaney's not legitimate when it comes to strikeouts anymore. He used to be. I mean, coming off a 5 at home against the Phillies, like that's pretty good. But like, he's no longer the legitimate strikeout guy he used to be. It's in Chicago against the Cubs. Winds are blowing in, so that might help him a little bit. But like, I can't. Andrew Heaney scares me. Taillon scares me too. Like 4.5 seems like it should be a really good number against the Pirates. But if you look, the Pirates are on this weird stretch where they've had some unders. But then again, our guy Cal Quantrill had 6 yesterday. Alcantara had 6. Yuri Perez had 5. So like Taillon should get over that 4.5 number here, but like the Pirates are also hot and cold when it comes to making contact.
Matt, you do a lot of the outs props. So in the chat, we do have from Merril saying, I know it's probably a sweat, but give me Senga under 17.5 outs. Now, I don't hate it because it's a fishy line to me. 20-cent move against the Mets, despite majority of action coming in on New York. Thoughts on the outs prop for Senga?
So I'm looking to see the last couple starts for the Nationals against righties, and Canning went 5 1/3, DeGrom went 7, Horton went 5 1/3, Burns went 4 2/3, but had that injury. I mean, look, if you go off the trends, that's not a terrible one. And then you look at Senga, though, 3 of his last 4 starts, he went 6 innings. I know for the longest time they kept him to around 5 and slightly over 5, and now they've started to expand him a little bit more. I certainly wouldn't do it. He threw 6 in Washington against the Nationals back in April. He seems to do a little bit better at home in terms of length. It's about the same. I don't love it, but I don't hate it either. It's just one of those things where it's not something that I would run out to play. But if you've got the numbers to back it, sure, why not?
Last game tonight, Houston Astros hosting the Chicago White Sox. This is another fishy line because I saw the line move 20 cents against the Astros, despite, of course, them getting the public love against the White Sox. This line I saw move from plus 205 Chicago to plus 190. You've got Davis Martin pitching for Chicago, Framber Valdez, the ace for the Astros, pitching at home. Thoughts on this matchup?
So I'm mad because the Astros are crazy when it comes to outs. If you get a starting pitcher, especially a righty, against the Astros and it's less than 6 innings, you should take the over. 21. So yesterday, Sean Burke had 16 and a half outs as his number. He didn't go over that. So I lost that. But that makes it 21 of the last 25 right-handed starting pitchers who have gone over 16 and a half outs. The Astros must have, as a team collectively, the least amount of pitches seen in Major League Baseball. It's insane. And so you look at a guy like Davis Martin, who's starting to go a little bit longer in these games, and I'm looking at his outs over. The problem is also, the books are looking at it too. And the juice has actually come down a little bit on his over 17 and a half outs. So I mean, I would play the trend potentially. It's not one of my favorite things, but if you want me to say, hey, Matt, what's your favorite play of the day? What would you play if you were actually playing anything? It would be Davis Martin over 17 and a half outs because the Astros just don't see any pitches. Everybody goes 6 innings or more.
And do you ever get that feeling when you have a game like the Astros did yesterday where you put up double-digit runs that you expect the team to regress a little bit offensively?
I mean, the only thing that would be a little different here is maybe the White Sox are less hesitant to go to their bullpen because they used a bunch of the bullpen yesterday. But Davis Martin's the type of guy who can go 6 innings. And so I think that's a really interesting aspect of it. I'm looking here. Went 6 against the Royals, 6 in Baltimore, 6 against the Rangers, 7.1 against Seattle. These 6.2 against the Reds in Cincinnati, which we know teams have had problems there. So he's on a stretch where he's gone 6 innings or more in 5 straight. So I think that if I was to say my favorite play today, it would be over 17 and a half outs for Davis Martin, simply playing the trends that everybody's going 6 innings against this Astros team. And yesterday, Sean Burke barely went 4.
Hey, I like it. It's a fishy line. I couldn't figure out the fishy line, and I think you just dissected it. Any trends before I let you go that stand out to you that maybe people could keep an eye on, especially when it comes to tomorrow or this weekend?
I mean, look, obviously the Alec Boehm thing's really interesting, and I'm looking to see, the Ranger Suarez going up against Toronto. Toronto is a team that makes a lot of contact against lefties, but Ranger is somebody who is better at home. We'll be interested to see what that number is. He didn't see the Blue Jays the first time around. So we'll see what that number is tomorrow. But look, it's just watching the Alec Boehm number and seeing what we can take advantage of going forward. It's funny. Maybe I should start taking a look at some of the other guys who are towards the bottom when it comes to pitches per at bat and see if their trends start popping up. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at for it. And as I said, don't be afraid to pass on today and get ready for tomorrow. There's a full slate tomorrow and probably plenty more things to take a look at.
And if anyone missed it, Matt talked about one of his favorite trends so far in the last couple of weeks. And you can check out the YouTube page or rewatch the show from the beginning, because he gave a whole long explanation as to how and why he loves this trend. And before I let you go, Jay Buff says, Matt, you need a Syracuse Flagger poster on the wall behind you.
Probably. I probably do. I need something on the wall, probably.
Zags, and yet you're like a freaking Eagles and Syracuse person.
I mean, I'm a Gonzaga fan. I'm a Chet Holmgren fan. He looked great last night. I was so happy for Chet. I mean, the rest of the guys have to get as good as Chet does, but, hopefully he can follow that up in game 4.
I'm glad SGA wasn't, because I had his under on points, and I really enjoyed watching that come to fruition. But Mid-Major Matt, thank you so much, as always. And we'll be back tomorrow around 12:10 p.m. Eastern time for Matt to break down the Friday slate of games and some trends going into the weekend. I will see you tomorrow.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Coming up now, if you watch Last Call on Wager Talk on Saturdays with me, filling in for Kelly in Vegas all summer, you've watched me with this guy every Saturday morning. He is awesome. He does everything. And he's going to tell us how to get the edge. And we're going to break down a few different things when it comes to Major League Baseball, the NBA Finals. Let's give it up for Wager Talk's own Steve Merril. Hey, Steve.
Matt Josephs, man. I can't believe I got to come on before Matt. I've known Matt for almost 20 years. I don't know if you know that.
I did not know that,
Yeah,
but you guys have worked at Wager Talk together.
Yeah, he's Richmond, Virginia. He's less than an hour from me. ESPN radio with him 20 years ago. He was a producer and had his own shows. So I've known Matt for a couple of decades, 3 decades actually, since the 05 time probably.
Wow.
And then we actually, when I joined Wager Talk back in 2020 during the shutdown, I switched over to Wager Talk. Matt was doing stuff with Sports Memo, and we did a lot of baseball shows together. So yeah, I've probably done more shows with Matt Joseph maybe than anybody else in the industry over 20 some years between radio and video. So it's pretty cool.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I just realized you probably did not know that. And he is a Syracuse fan. He always has been. He's got some random.
Well, that's how Matt and
I think he went to
initially
Temple or
because
something.
We're both Syracuse people, and then we became in love with strikeout props, and now we talk strikeout props every single baseball season. But Steve, we just spoke a lot of baseball. We'll get to it in a second. I know that's the big stuff for today. Let's recap the NBA a little bit. I cannot believe that the Indiana Pacers upset the Oklahoma City Thunder again. Thoughts on Game 3?
So the theme for me this entire playoffs, I keep saying bizarro playoffs, but when you really break down the bizarro-ness, like I say that because the Celtics had back-to-back 20-point leads against your Knicks, as you know. They led for 99% of the games, first 2 games, and lost both of them. And then the Cavaliers did it in between the nights between. They had a 20-point lead and lost. Of course, they were a bit injured, but I thought Mazzola for the Celtics did a terrible job coaching. Thibodeau's the one I didn't think deserved to be fired. I thought he got the most out of that team, Ariel. With 2 decent players, what else do you expect? But the Celtics, back-to-back 20-point leads, still taking threes. I thought that was disgraceful. And hate to say it, but Oklahoma City's coaching has been suspect at times as well. You go back to Game 1 of the finals. They have a 15-point lead in the fourth quarter. And yes, Indiana hit some threes. They came back. But, Brooks also sits some of the best players. He goes small all of a sudden. And Holmgren did absolutely nothing. You and Matt were just talking about how Holmgren had a big game once again, Game 3. I've actually recommended his over in my prop video the last 2 games because he did underperform in Game 1, didn't play in the 2 regular season matchups. But Hartenstein and Holmgren, they have size edges. And you see it again last night. They have an 8-point lead in the first quarter, and then they're losing at halftime. And then he brings the starters back out to start the third. They go on an 8-0 run. So I really feel like he's overthinking it. And they even said something during the broadcast last night that disturbed me. He said they asked him during the season, what's the first thing you look at in the box score and the stat sheet? Without a doubt, minutes played. Got to conserve everybody's minutes, keep them fresh. And look, that's why they won 68 games. That's why they had the best record in the NBA. But this is the playoffs. This is the NBA Finals. It's not load management anymore, right? You constrict your roster. And the top 5 players for OKC are better than the top 5 of the Pacers. And I feel like they're finding a way not to win these games. With that said, you got to expect the better team to bounce back in Game 4. And I'm not a guy that gets on coaches. Very rarely over the last 29 years I've done this have I even cared about an NBA coach because I think they're basically high-paid babysitters. But these guys are finding a way basically to underperform. The Celtics did it against your Knicks, and now the Thunder are doing it against the Pacers.
That's what I hate, though, about coaching these days. It's why I always am when looking at the Knicks coaching search and they were talking about Jason Kidd.
Jason Kidd, yeah.
I'm like, I'm over this whole bring in a former player who's played with some of these players and make him the manager or the head coach. It's like, can't we have some respect for our coach so that we know, hey, this is the boss. The coach is supposed to be the boss. And in the NBA, I guess for certain teams, because especially OKC, they're very young. So when you do have younger teams that you're trying to develop, it's good to have those. I don't know. It's frustrating. And I do think that getting on NBA coaches is a real thing. Coaching advantages matter. But Game 4 coming up, Pacers up 2-1. What has been the successful approach to handicapping this series so far?
I would say maybe when the Thunder are in a focused spot, and obviously, last night they lost, but keep in mind they were coming off a winning Game 2, right? So they haven't been good on the road. I think they're 0-8 against the spread now. They've been much better at home. But if you still look at them off a loss during the regular season and the postseason, they've been a pretty good play. And that makes sense. Class A teams normally are good plays off a loss because you get them focused. They came out strong, as I said, in the first quarter and then kind of took their foot off the gas and came out strong again after the half. I would expect him to come out strong again. I think first quarter, first half could be worth a look for the Thunder in Game 4. In hindsight, it probably was a really good spot for Indiana. It was their first home playoff game in 25 years. And I knew that, but after the game when they were talking about it in the interviews, it kind of sunk in more for me that that's a pretty emotional thing, right? It's a quarter century. I think they're more likely to be the team that regresses a little bit, maybe. So the question is, do they carry that momentum into the start and then OKC pulls ahead? I don't think coaching matters much at all in the NBA. It's a superstar league. What does matter is the game plan and when you sub guys, and that's where I think they're making a serious mistake. If they keep their better players in, they're going to win. And maybe after losing game 3, just like after losing game 1, they've learned their lesson. They did play better in game 2 from start to finish. I would expect probably a similar effort. The only thing that makes me hedge a little bit, Ariel, is that it is on the road, and the Thunder have been a much better team at home. The other thing I'll point out, too, is, the number one defense in the NBA, number one defensive efficiency team in the whole season. You do wonder about that at times, because they've looked a little shaky against Indiana. It was a very good offensive team. Halliburton last night, 20 points, 10 assists. They're now 20-1 straight up this season when he has over 20 points and over 10 assists. He had a breakout game, but as you know, as the prop queen, he often zigs and zags. Do we maybe fade Halliburton here in game 4? And by the way, I didn't fade him in game 3. I talked about it on my video.
I won't fade him at home. I'll fade him on the road. In fact, I really hope that Halliburton has a great home series because it just allows for us to continue to bet his road unders.
Right.
This is what the public doesn't realize. I said yesterday, over 17.5 points for Halliburton. Buy low. And we sold high in games 1 and 2 because Halliburton's averaging 4 less points per game on the road this year. SGA, same thing. Steve, we saw SGA's number stay at 33.5, 34.5 for a points prop. It was the same number as SGA at home, and he's averaging 2 to 3 less points a game on the road. So why are we not accounting for, I know SGA is amazing, but the books aren't accounting for the star players. You're paying a premium for them.
Right. And the other thing, it correlates to what we talked about earlier. The Thunder have been weaker on the road, right? And one of the reasons is because they're probably better defensively at home. That's going to hurt Halliburton when he's on the road. And obviously the Thunder offense not as good on the road. In my video, I said, we faded Halliburton in games 1 and 2. I was neutral on him in game 3 because I did think he'd get that home bump. And he obviously got that last night. So I'm kind of neutral on him for the same reason. You bring up a great point also. Let's kind of maybe hope for some results because game 5, we definitely have a game 5. Most likely we have a game 6 or even 7. I doubt the Pacers are going to win this series 4-1 if they even win it at all.
Poor Jay-Z. Jay-Z lost his millions.
Yeah, well, you could double up a little, though. If the Halliburton under doesn't hit now, like you said, or you just stay off it, you get it in game 5. Same with the Thunder. If the Thunder don't win this game, I would think they'd be an even stronger play back at home in game 5 off back-to-back losses.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at trying to find value in game 4, maybe some players that are a little underrated and not the star players. Who should we potentially focus on?
I do like to take a zigzag approach with not just sides and totals, but also with player props in the NBA playoffs. And one thing you look for is someone that's overachieved or underachieved. Now, like Halliburton, SGA, it's dangerous to fade superstars, especially someone like Halliburton at home, as you mentioned. So although I think he might regress after the huge game 3, I think you're spot on. That regression is very likely probably in game 5, especially if he plays well again. I'm almost kind of hoping to see that as well. Holmgren is a guy that was only 2 for 9 in game 1. I liked him game 2 over. He went from like 17.5 down to 14.5. That's how much he adjusted.
I had that
him.
over. It was a royal lock.
And he only got to 15 barely, right? Never in doubt. But it was a crush early on. And then last night he had 20. He was only 6 for 15 shooting, though. Got to the free throw line 9 times. So I still think there's some value with Holmgren over. I don't think that train has left yet. Jalen Williams is a guy that's been tricky for me. He kind of goes up and down all playoffs. He had a big game last night with 26 points, 9 for 18 shooting. He can't shoot much better than that. Dort is a defensive guy. He was 4 for 12 points, 4 for 8, 12 points. That's another reason, by the way, the fading Halliburton works in this series because Dort's a first-team All-NBA defensive player. So while he might have another big game, I'm not playing him over. It's either under or pass for me with Halliburton.
And Dort, it's all about the threes, too, figuring
4
out.
4 for 5 last night. Yeah.
He's also a zigzag.
Well, and he's a guy, too. Do you think he could play much better? 4 for 5 from 3, 50% from the field. He ends up with 12 points. That's like an optimal performance, and he's priced at 8.5. He was 7.5 last night. He was 9.5 in game 2, 8.5 in game 1. And look what he's done so far in the playoffs. He had 15 in game 1. He had 3 in game 2 at home in a big win for them. And he still only had 3 points in a good offensive game for OKC. He's a guy that might regress. 12 points in game 3 would be under or pass for me. And also coming off a loss, you got to figure, hey, Dort, you're the defensive guy, right? We don't need your offense. SGA's got to pick it up. I would not fade Shea. Superstars like that, I don't like to fade, especially after
I won't fade him twice in a row.
Or in a bounce back spot also, right? You got to figure if you like the Thunder to bounce back as a 6-point favorite, have to figure he's going to have a big game. And Jalen Williams maybe as well. But I'd like Holmgren and Shea overs if I had to play any of those star players.
You can also check out Steve Merril on the Wager Talk platforms. He posts videos previewing the NBA Finals games every single day throughout the playoffs. He's been doing this. He's been awesome at posting these previews, really in-depth analysis. So check that out. Major League Baseball today, Steve. We've got a shorter slate of games, 3-day games, 5-night games. Did anything stand out to you?
I actually will give you a game I posted for free for everybody on Wager Talk. It is one of the night games here. I used the Houston Astros -1.5 run line, got it down to a pick-em price. Davis Martin starting for Chicago. Never a problem to fade the White Sox. We love to fade bad teams. I know you love to fade the Rockies. And when we do so, as we've talked about a lot of areas, we usually want to look at the run line, right? Because bad teams are bad in all sports nowadays, whether it's college football, even college basketball, because they can't score. And fading bad offensive teams with the run line works. Vice versa, when you play powerhouses like the Yankees or Dodgers or Mets, good offensive teams, -1.5 works. I wouldn't call Houston a powerhouse offense, but I think they'll have enough tonight. My projections have Martin not having a good start for Chicago. Houston's lineup, by the way, has hit a solid .391, just 9 for 23. They haven't gotten a lot of at-bats, but the guys that have faced Martin have hit him hard. .391 career batting average for Houston's lineup. And Valdez, Framber, your boy, my boy. It's June. Can he still cheat? Well, what's the cutoff? We've talked about this. I think it's like the end of June, right? You get a 3-month grandfather period. He vastly overperformed the first couple months last year. It was suspect as hell. I expect him to regress at some point, but I don't think it'll be tonight. So I do like the Astros. I think that you get that juice down, obviously. We don't play big favorites. I like getting the big favorites down. Instead of laying -240, you get them down to -110. That's a huge difference. That's like a two and a half times decrease in the juice you got to lay, right? Just to win by one more run. So I think that's a good play tonight at 8 Eastern.
Uncle Crypto Buckets, Lindor
Yes.
or Alonso and Buxton home runs. I mean, we've got day baseball today. Does that help or hurt home runs?
Colorado, we got altitude, right? So that always helps. We got a total of 11, even a half starting to show. By the way, two of the sharpest books in the world, Pinnacle, Bet Online, they're now at 11.5 to the under. Everybody else is 11 over. So the sharp money lean is on the over in the San Fran, Colorado game at 3 Eastern today on Thursday. So I would like any kind of over props, and it probably does help home runs as well.
I saw a fishy line today about this Nats-Mets game coming up at 1:10 p.m. Eastern, so shortly. The line moved 20 cents against the Mets overnight, despite their ace Kodai Senga on the mound and the public's all on the Mets. Any reason here that you could see the Nats getting some sharp action?
We talk about momentum in the NBA, and I know you don't want to hear this, but I really think that game 1 overtime loss for your Knicks just squashed them in game 2. That was the only game I missed, by the way, in the series.
I agree with you.
Yeah, well, I went 5-1 in that series. I was looking back on it. The only one I missed was the Knicks in game 2. I had them as a favorite. They lost outright. And I think in hindsight, you blow a 14-point lead with 2.5 minutes to go. I bring that up. I know they're not your New York Mets, but since you get so worked up, I'm going to keep calling them your second team, your New York Mets against my Washington Nationals. Game 1, Nats blew that lead the other night. She's a Yankee fan. She can't stand it. She doesn't even want the chance that somebody might believe what I'm saying, that she's a Mets fan. Not your New York Mets.
No, my second team's the Orioles because my dad's from Baltimore.
That's true. Yeah, that's right. That was my team growing up because I didn't have the Nats in Northern Virginia. So the Orioles were always my team. So my Washington Nationals against my Baltimore Orioles always conflicts me. Not your New York Mets against my Washington Nationals. And the Nats blew that game 1 on, Tuesday night, and lost. Mets won in extra innings. Very emotional win, pinch runner, place was rocking. Got to wonder if that carried over last night, right? We saw a rarity. In fact, had this happened all year, Ariel, you probably know better than me. Had we had a complete game shutout all year in Major League Baseball, do you know if that had happened? Because we got that last night with the Mets. That was insane. So their ace was maybe on the mound last night. So, yeah, I don't know. Do the Nats bounce back? They sure didn't bounce back last night. No effort. Complete game shutout is a rarity in modern baseball, and the Nats allowed it to happen. So tough to back them today. I would say Mets probably come out strong. But as you know, these early getaway games, we talk about them with Sunday afternoon games, right? They can be a bit random. So I stayed away from this game for that reason. But I did think in hindsight last night, the Nats had very little energy after blowing that game the night before.
I have a love-hate relationship with day baseball. I love that it comes on. It gets me hyped up in the middle of the week to have something to watch. But it is a very hard handicap sometimes because the numbers that you normally get do change a little bit based on the afternoon. So Buyer beware. Steve Merril, anything else you got today, or where should people find all your stuff?
Yeah, check me out. I've got a best bet for clients, not one of the games we talked about. So you can get a best bet for tonight. It is a nighttime game at wagertalk.com. And then all my NBA Game 4 updates ready as well. And you mentioned the video I've done every NBA playoff game this postseason. I did every NCAA tournament game, play-in round on, every NBA postseason game, playoffs, finals. I will continue to do so. I'm going to record the Game 4 video, and you help me prep for it, man. I'm ready to go, Ariel. This cut my prep time down by 20. This is called multitasking. I prepped as we talked live on Prop Queen TV. And
see, listen, you have to talk it out with friends. And when you talk it out with friends, you get your brain turning a little bit. And the NBA gives us a lot of time to think on these props. So,
hey, all seriousness, I learned this decades ago when I started including analysis with my best bets. And back then, I did some radio, but it was more typing up articles. And I never liked it. I love doing TV because it's so efficient. Like you and I, it would have taken us 5 hours to type up everything we just talked about, think about it, right? But when we do it live, it takes 10 minutes. And I've always said, if you can't justify a play on the back of a napkin, right? 2 sentences, then it's probably not worth it. You're overthinking it. And that's why you do a great job with your props, because you analyze things real time. And the NBA playoff videos have helped my handicap. I'll give out side total player props, and maybe one of them will be a best bet. But I'm doing a deep dive by doing the videos. And it's worked out well, and the viewers have loved it. I think we've had over 70,000 views on the first 3 games, so really do appreciate that. Thumbs up, likes, comments below, and keep it going here on Prop Queen TV as well, on X, or wherever else they can find you.
YouTube, Twitch,
there we
streaming
go.
everywhere. Steve Merril, I will see you Saturday. Are you doing last call?
No, I didn't commit this week because I didn't have my basketball tournament schedule and just got it today, and I got to leave around 11 a.m. Eastern. So no show, but this is the last weekend, so I'm looking forward to doing a lot of last calls starting next weekend with you, if you can stay out of trouble and wake up in the mornings. And I'm not a morning person, by the way. I probably get up later than you do.
I'm not a morning person, and I'm definitely not a Saturday morning person.
I'm not even on West Coast time. I'm on Hawaiian time. I'm getting better, though. I'm back to West Coast time. It's not as bad as it used to be.
Steve Merril, thank you so much for coming on today. Appreciate all your analysis, and good luck with your bets.
Thanks, Ariel.
My turn. Let's get to some propaganda. We actually have an early look at some of the most bet on props for the NBA Game 4. I think I might actually have some propaganda for MLB today. Not yet. Okay. But for NBA Game 4, you could take a look at Obi Toppin under 4.5 rebounds is what the public liked early. Hartenstein under points, rebounds, and assists. Kaysen Wallace under boards, Lou Dort under points, and Benedict Mathurin under 10.5 points. That's what the public's on early for our next game of the NBA Finals. I'm going to go fast because poor Marley is hitting her threshold. Batters to watch overs. Marcus Semien over on his props. He's got 2 home runs, a double, hitting .538 against Bailey Ober. Gleyber Torres is hitting .308 with 2 doubles against Dean Kramer. Austin Slater hitting .500 against Framber Valdez. Luis Robert, who's been struggling, he has done well against Framber Valdez. Tommy Pham has 5 doubles against Jamison Tyone. Pete Alonso, 4 of 12 with a homer against Mike Soroka. So I know someone in the chat wrote about the home runs for Alonso. Maybe you could look at him. Juan Soto's been on fire. He has a .600 average with 2 homers against Soroka. DJ LeMahieu, he's also been playing pretty well, and he's got good numbers against Lugo. Paul Goldschmidt, great numbers against Lugo, 8 of 14 with 2 bombs. Bryce Terang, 364 with a double against Sonny Gray. Weirdly enough, some Yankees have horrible numbers against Lugo, like Aaron Judge, Jazz Chisholm, Anthony Volpe, all have bad numbers against Lugo. Kyle Tucker, bad numbers against the lefty Andrew Heaney, 1 of 15. O'Neal Cruz, 0 for 11 with 4 Ks against Jamison Tyone. Sal Frelick, 0 hits against Sonny Gray in 10 at-bats with 3 strikeouts. And these were the strikeout props that I said I was looking out for today. I think the Senga under has grown on me throughout the show. I'll talk about that a little bit. I don't even have a graphic for Royal Locks, so I'll just have to mention it. Skubal over 7.5 Ks, a little too juiced at this point. Mizorowski under 4.5 Ks, and Andrew Heaney over 3.5 Ks. I discussed all of these earlier in the show, but I guess I will discuss them now, and poor Marley will just Poor thing. She's going to have to wait. I know Jay Buff was mentioning it in the chat to bring her on the show, but she cannot come on the show. She likes wires. She likes to chew them, which is why she has to go in the crate during the show, because this is much better than her going and eating up my couch. She's teething. She's 4.5 months old. Okay, strikeout props for today. So the Mets game is about to start against the Nats. Kodai Senga under 5.5 Ks. I just like the value at plus 114. He's gone under at 5.5 Ks in 3 of 4 matchups against low K rate lineups, including a 5 strikeout game against Washington on April 25th. This is a fishy line. The line moved 20 cents against the Mets, despite Senga pitching at home with 90% of action coming in on the Mets. Righties, 30 unders, 18 overs against the Nats, averaging just over 4 strikeouts a game. In fact, 7 of the last 10 righties to face the Nats went under 5.5 strikeouts. Tarek Skubal, if you could get a good number on this, over 7.5 Ks. He's gone over it in 6 of 7 against teams with high K rates against lefties. The Orioles, 13 of 17 lefties they faced have gone over 7.5 or over their strikeout prop. Pitchers like Mackenzie Gore has gone over this twice with 8 and 9 Ks. Carlos Rodon had 7. Skubal had 11 earlier in the year, and Andrew Abbott, the lefty, had 11 Ks against the O's. So Skubal over 7.5 Ks. Jacob Mizrowski under 4.5 Ks. He's making his MLB debut. He's the Brewers' number 4 prospect. He's up against the low K rate team like the Cards, who the Cardinals righty starters are 24 unders, 18 overs their K prop, averaging about 4 strikeouts a game. Mizrowski, it would be pretty impressive for him to go over this in his major league debut against a team that doesn't strike out a lot. Then Andrew Heaney, the one I like the least on this card, but it is minus 145, which I think is pretty telling. He had 0 against the Cubs the first time around, but the Cubs have actually had a lefty go over this in 7 straight starts. So the Cubs are striking out much more recently. If I had to choose the ones I like the most, I'd say Senga under and Mizrowski under would be what I would deem royal locks of the day. Up to you if you wanted to take the shot. I don't love today's card, but those would be the 2 I like the most. Senga from a value perspective and the fishy line, and against a team that doesn't strike out a lot. I'm going to sign off a little bit early today because my little brother, who you see over there in the Orioles shirt, he is going to prom. I have to get home in time to see him, go to pictures, and I have to introduce Marley to my parents' dogs. So it's about to be a very wild day in the Epstein household. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in early. In case you missed some of the show, subscribe and like the YouTube page at Prop Queen Sports. Watch it back. Mid-Major Matt and I went every single game on the MLB card and talked about our leans for favorite strikeout or pitcher props, like outs props and hitter props too for batters. You can check all that out. Tomorrow's show also will be noon to 1 Eastern because I got invited to sit second row at a country concert that I'm super pumped about. So I have to leave early. So 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern time again tomorrow. We're going to have Mid-Major Matt on again to talk Major League Baseball. And Matt Grissom's going to come back on and talk College World Series, which starts tomorrow, I think at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So you can check that out. Jessica Brown said, would you bet Skubal most Ks at plus 185? Matt said he would. So I guess like you guys could if you would like to. Thank you for saying that. You hope my brother has fun. I missed the morning drive, not gonna lie. Anyway, good luck with your bets today, everybody. I'm gonna go save Marley. I will see you all tomorrow at noon Eastern time. Peace out.